Hello and welcome back to Zara Ministries. This is part two of the three progressions in your relationship with God. So we started off with the first level, the first phase of your relationship, and that's acknowledgement. And so now we want to progress into knowing Him not just as God, but we want to acknowledge and be in relationship with Him and relating to Him as a father. Okay, so yeah, I know some of you are probably saying, she didn't have that on before. Yeah, same top. I just had to put my hair up because it's very long and it was getting on my nerves. So, progression into knowing Him as Father. What about a father? Who is a father? What makes a father? And a father is someone who exercises parental care over another. One who protects, provides, discipline, one who has authority over, and one that not only receive acknowledgement, but you have reverence for. So when we say to fear God, we mean to reverence God. He is the highest, the supreme, the only God, and we reverence Him. And so reverencing Him is a totally different level of just acknowledging that He exists. So when He becomes your Father, then you're talking about a deeper relationship and a deeper and a manifestation of that relationship. And like I said before, sometimes it's hard to relate to God as Father, depending upon your understanding of what a father is, your experience with a good father or a bad father, an absent father. And God is none of those things. That's not what a father truly is. And we have an Americanized picture of who we think God is and what a father should be. But if you are in relationship with Him, He will show you the truth and you will know the truth and you can operate in that truth. And acknowledging Him and then moving towards that relationship and relating to Him as Father. He may have to heal some things in order for you to get to that point and to see Him differently, other than what we have been told or preached about or taught about or read any misconceptions, misinterpretations. So let's talk about the Father, the intimate level that a father and a son or a daughter has. So we said this relationship is a bit deeper, but not deep enough because you can still resist, disregard, and rebel against Him. You sure can. But this relationship goes beyond acknowledgement, but does not allow Him to have complete control over. And what do I mean by that? Because I said we can still resist Him. And as I said before, you will find yourself relating to God in all three levels. And there's different depths to the levels depending on your maturity and God doing what He needs to do on the inside of you and you letting go more and you coming more away from that selfishness. It's all about me, 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 me. Okay, so He goes a little deeper than that. Your understanding of Him is deeper than that, but you can still have some resistance because we resist our natural fathers, right? They say not to do something, and guess what we want to do? We want to do the exact opposite. And so sometimes you can resist Him, and God may have to, step it up a little bit to let you know that I'm the Father and you're the son or the daughter, right? Yeah, we've all had those moments. As a matter of fact, this little story that I recall, I was in at a meeting in church, a singles meeting or whatever, and I was backing off because I know God was changing things and shifting me into other areas, and they wanted me to continue on and to take a certain position, and I didn't want to take that position. So I'm sitting there and I kept resisting, but I could feel God. And it wasn't a pleasant feeling, but I didn't care because I was stubborn and I did not want to be a part of this particular ministry any longer. And so I was like, no, I'm not doing this. I'm not doing that. No, 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 no. But I don't know if you ever felt this, but I felt the hand of God on my shoulder, like a little girl. And so I kept saying to the others, no, I don't want to do that. And because I was so ready to be out of it, but God was not ready for me to leave. I was trying to leave on my own time. So, and I wanted to fade out the way I wanted to fade out, and that's not what God wanted. So, but I knew He was saying, you're treading on thin ice. But thank you, Father, for your grace. But He was not happy, okay? He was not happy. So, but eventually, yes, I had to give in because I was about to get a good whooping. I sure was. And one of the ministers had looked at me, and when I was saying a word, she just looked at me and she was like, "Ooh, you in trouble." And so she knew. She knew. I don't know if she saw anything or what God said, but she discerned it. And I knew too. And I just looked at her and I laughed and I said, yeah, I know I'm going to get it. But that's a different relationship. It wasn't me seeing God's going to strike me down dead. I had a more loving relationship with God and a different understanding of Him. And so as I was learning Him even the more, He allowed me that grace, but He will still have His way. He will still have His way. Okay? And so we move on from the acknowledgement of Him to allowing Him to have more control over us. Not that we're puppets or robots, but we yield more to Him. Okay? We yield more to Him. And so our understanding is not of His love is not conditional. If I do this, then God will do that. If I don't do this, then God will do that. And God doesn't love me based on what I do. His love is unconditional. Nothing I do will take His love from me. I could be making my bed in hell and He still has love for me. Okay? So I don't have to worry about doing works to get His attention and to get His love because we already have it. It is unconditional. But our love towards Him could still be conditional, even though we acknowledge Him as our Father. Okay? And when you have that relationship, Him being your Father, which is a little bit closer than Him being God, but you may think that you can still hide from Him, tune Him out, and have a relationship again based on works. But this type of relationship is not based on what God can do or the promises that He makes towards us. It's based on a covenant relationship. And a covenant involving two parties. God does his part. I do my part willingly, hopefully, willingly. And so I am now in a covenant relationship with God. And he wants to be in covenant with us. And so when you in this father phase and you're still learning him and learning yourself, sometimes you will call upon him in times of trouble and thankful for what he does for you. But you may not call on him. You may still want to work it out yourself. You're still working in your own strength. And then when everything fails, that doesn't go your way, then you'll call on him. He's not always your first go-to, okay? He's not always your first go-to because you're learning how to do that. You're not all the way there yet, but you're learning how to do that. And just like, you in trouble, you want to call on your father because your father coming in, flexing his muscles. Go put your hand on my daughter or my son, okay? Yes, I'm going to check you, then I might check her or him, depending on what they did, or they may not have done anything, but I'm definitely going to step in for my son or my daughter. And you're going to know, hands off this one. This one belongs to me. This one is mine. And so that's when I need that father who's a warrior, that God who's a warrior, who's going to step in and take charge and to lead and guide me. We need that. A father does nurture more so. Now, a father is a discipliner. We cannot forget that. And the word tells us he disciplines his own. He disciplines his own because he loves you. And it's not this God who's ready to pounce on you, but he will correct you and discipline you so that you will learn more of him, more of his ways, more of what's right and what's wrong, for you to lean more on him than yourself. So it's a little bit more involvement and a little bit more communication that you have with him. And at this stage, you know a little bit more about him through the things that you have experienced. And we like to call this phase, or I like to call this phase as God proving himself. Because you're seeking after him and you want a deeper relationship with him and know who he really is. So this is a time when God is proving himself. He's proving his word that you read. He's proving, he's showing out for you. He's making a good impression for you, right? So, because a father loves to stick out his chest and say, I'm father, look what I did. This is my daughter. He wants you to come in and jump into his arms and give him a hug and letting him wrap his arms around you. A father loves the child's love. And so that's what he's doing. He's dealing with you on your relationship, the love factor, the heart, even the more, right? So we want that. And like I said before, we shouldn't stay in one phase. We need to continue on and progress in the relationship. Just like any natural relationship, you want it to progress. Maybe some don't, one-nighters and whatever, but God is not a one-nighter and he's not a distant lover. So He wants that progression. God courts you and he pursues you and he draws you in even the more. The Father is doing that. It's more relational. And when you are more relational with him and you identify him as Father God, then you stand in a place of praise. You stand in a place of worship. You know that you have that tie to him and you are allowing him to deal more with you in your daily affairs, your thoughts, and your actions. So you're more aware that God, yes, he's right there looking, but he is not like, okay? But God is right there. And so he's trying to show you what this relationship with him as Father, what he can do for you. And it's a relationship not on frequent calls, but an everyday conversation. He wants that from you. The best way to get to know somebody is to be around them even the more, so you communicate with them even the more. You share your day, you share your feelings, you share your thoughts, even though he knows your thoughts anyway. When you relate to him as Father, it's, he knows your emotions. So, and even if you get mad at him, he knows that too. And he can take it. He's all right with that. Oh, okay, you mad at me? Okay, let's talk about this, right? Because we know that God is a healer. And then you also know, find out that God is a Father and God is God based on not just his attributes, but what he does. Some people can't relate to him as a healer because they've never been healed by him. They didn't, didn't need that from him, didn't need healing. Or they may have prayed for somebody else to get healed and they got healed. So then they experience God as a healer. Okay? And then you experience God more as that friend that we talked about earlier on. You will experience that, and God will begin to teach you how to be a friend and how he can be a friend to you. He has to teach us because we don't know. All we have to go on is past relationships, what the movies, the TVs, and newspaper, and what other people say. But he wants to relate to you differently, and he wants to show you the truth, no deception, and nothing hidden. He doesn't want to withhold anything from you because he has so much more for you, because he is so much more. And so when you're in this phase here, you're supposed to be best friends, but sometimes you can still look elsewhere for help and for counseling. You place knowing that he is capable. You know that he's capable, but will he? I know that he will do for others, but will he do for me? So you're still getting to know him. You know he's a father. He's fathering me. I'm closer to him than where I was. I'm desiring him and seeking after him. But I still have some hesitation. There's still some hesitation. There's still some things that God has to work on the inside side of you in that soulish realm. He still has to work on you. He still has to work on those fleshly, carnal desires and appetites that he is not too pleased with. So he's still working on you. And when you relate to him as Father, then this requires you to be a little bit more patient, listen more obedient, fellowship, deliverance, more fasting, prayer, more waiting, and we hate to wait. We want God to be Johnny on the spot. I want this, I'm gonna need you to do that. And we want it like yesterday. so God has to teach us a little bit more how to be patient, how to come to him and ask him. We have not because we ask not. So we're learning to come to him a little bit more. You will find yourself being less selfish than where you were when you just acknowledge him, because you have a better understanding. And then you start to see that it's not just about you and your family, but he begins to expand you. He begins to expand your area of influence. He begins to expand the people that are around you, your territory around you. He begins to expand that even the more, because you have a better understanding. Okay, this is not just about me. I can't be selfish in this relationship. I have to give more of myself. I have to deny more of myself. I have to sacrifice more than what I'm used to, right? And so this is a place where God begins to shape your identity. It's not that you're a Christian in name, okay? But you're a Christian in action. This is a conversion of your heart. This is a conversion of your heart. So you're shifting and moving from acknowledgement and allowing God to strip off those false identities, and allow him to lead you, and as you are seeking to lead you in your calling, okay? Lead you into your purpose. This is a phase of discovery and revelation where he begins to remove some people from you. They gotta go. They've been riding long enough, but this is their stop right here, and they gotta go. When he breaking off ungodly soul ties, and so he's removing all that, and he's scraping off the dead skin and the callus and everything, and he's turning more of that heart of stone into a heart of flesh. Because he needs to burn some things out of you. It's a place where you will find yourself more on the altar. Okay? You'll find yourself more on the altar, because you're not just relying on others to go before God on your behalf. You're going now more for yourself, but you're still like, oh, I need you to pray for me. Can you pray for this? Can you pray for that? And people are still with you and walking with you. They never stop walking with you, but you depend on people more. And while God is trying to get you to depend on people less and less, and he's trying to remove those idols out of your life and those false gods, and putting people on the pedestal. And sometimes he may expose them, and it's like, I need to know that. But you did need to know that, because he's number one and he's your God. And so he wants you to see him as that. He wants you to relate to him as that, as Father. So that's a deeper relationship. And that is a desire of us all, to not just know him as God, but also as Father. That's my Father. He loves and cares for me. He is concerned about me. He's also concerned about the things that I'm concerned about. So whether it's my family, or it's my friends, or it's my job, or it's the next phase in life, whatever it is, what is my heart's desire? And that's when God, when your heart is more pliable, and so God begins to get you to align your desires up with his. And then he'll give you his desires. And you may think that it's your own desire, but it's really God's desire. It's what he wants from you and what he wants you to do. And so he's ready to shift you into a different position. He's ready to shift you into a higher purpose. You discovering who you are. You're discovering the gifts that God has placed on the inside of you. You're discovering how God has been working in your life. Your Father been there all this time, walking with you through the good and the bad, when you're right and when you're wrong. God has been with you all that time. You can relax a little bit more when you know He's Father. You can reverence Him and not shun Him, not hide from Him. You can ask Him why. You can ask those questions. I don't understand that. And this, give you a little story. And I was in seminary, and one of those spiritual classes or whatever. But we talked about our relationship with God, and how did we see our relationship? How do we respond and interact with Him? And so I was talking about the Father, and I see Him as Father. It's before I moved into Daddy, but I saw Him as Father. He was much closer to me as a father. And so because I related to Him as a father, He wanted me to do something. And I was telling them the story, and I said, "No, I'm not doing that." And everybody was like, "What? You told God no? You don't ever tell God no." I'm like, "Well, I didn't want to do it. I was being truthful. I mean, He knows I'm not going to say, yeah, I'm going to do it. And no, He knows I don't want to do it. He knows I have a no in my heart. I don't want to do it. So, yeah, I said, no, I don't want to do that." And so it's like, okay, you don't want to do that? That's just how I have a relationship with Him. Oh, okay, you don't want to do that? Man, I don't want to do that. I'm not doing that. And so, okay, let's just sit down a minute. Let's have a conversation about why you don't want to do that and why I want you to do it. So God will begin to soften your heart, and you will have peace about doing a particular thing or whatever. When you talk it out, there's more conversation going on. I'm asking God, why do you want me to do that? It's not just because I said so and I am God. I'm your Father. Now, He knows how to come at you and correct you and be stern, okay? But He also knows how the softer part of Him, as He relates to you, to get you to do what He's asking you to do, for you to align yourself up with Him and to get in right standing with Him. Yes, He allowed me to tell Him no because I'm still learning Him. And He knows I have a deeper relationship with what He wants and what I want. So we had the conversation. No, I didn't want to do that. Yes, I fussed. And I'm like, why I gotta do this? And, He began to tell me why He wanted me to do it. And if I did it, this would happen, blah, 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 blah. And it was more of my desire to please Him. I want to please my Father, not please Him so I can get something from Him. No, just because of my love for Him and His love for me. So He was teaching me how I can relate to Him. And He knows our heart. He knows what we're already thinking. So you might as well just talk it out. Tell Him how you feel, what you like, what you don't like. But in the end, He's still going to have His way. Well, at least I would hope that we all would give in and allow Him to have His way, because He knows better. He's already planned your life out. He already knows your beginning before your end and your end before your beginning and every step in between. He knows how to get you to your destiny. God will show you an end of a thing before you begin. Why would my Father do that? Because if he showed me first all that I was going to go through to get that, all of us would be like, oh no, for real, I ain't doing that. And we will stand right there and be stubborn, and we will be stuck because we don't want to go through anything. But in that process of going through those steps, he was with me. He may have had to